Amazing, amazing. Welcome, welcome, ladies and your families. So glad to have all of us here for this empowering evening conversation. Today, we are breaking the silence. We are breaking the silence. I don't know whether you've ever interacted with someone and they are just so quiet until it becomes tense because the other party is quiet. And a time comes that we have to break that silence. And that day is today, because today we are going a bit vulnerable. We are going to ourselves and we are breaking the silence that exists on matters mental health. So kindly invite your family and friends and let's have this igniting conversation. I am so glad to have all of us here. Kindly share in the chat where you are joining us from. Let us see where you are joining us from this evening as we start this conversation. Kindly share in the chat. Let's see where you are joining us from this evening. I'd like to know. Both is open. Ruth Kichuku is joining us from Diani. Karibu sana, Ruth. That's amazing. Next, let's see where you're joining us from. Sarah from Migori. Wow. Elizabeth from Nairobi. Woo! Yes, this is so good. So nice to connect with all of you. Who else is in the house and where are you joining us from? Let's hear. Thank you so much for sharing. Where are you joining us from? Oh, Sarah from Kikuyu. Yes, that's amazing. Karibu sana, karibu sana. You may find you have got a neighbor just next to you and you don't know. So it's always good to say hello and to share where you are joining us from. Kindly invite your family and friends and let's start with power. Great, great, great. So lovely. Gusana, kindly keep on sharing where you are joining us from. Let us know how you are. Say hello to us. This is how we break the silence when we start speaking, even in digital spaces. Yes, that's how we do it. We come out of our shell, we come out from hiding, and we speak, we amplify our voices. Great. I'm still waiting on you to tell us where you are joining us. Those who are joining us, welcome. And this is our evening webinar where we're going to have an igniting, empowering conversation on mental health. And today we are saying we are breaking the silence. That silence has been too much. We must speak about these things that we are calling mental health. So feel welcome and tell us where you're joining us from in the chat box. We can't wait to connect with you. I don't think I've missed anybody else. I'm waiting for you to say hello in the chat and let's start the conversation. Beautiful. Karibuni sana. I see it's already 5 minutes past 7 and we want to start this. I was waiting for more people, but because they are late, let us just begin. So those who are new and the Woman of Excellence Forum, our family and friends, I want to introduce myself. I'm your host this evening. My name is Loice Mutechi. I am a transformational coach for women leaders, just like the ones who have joined me this evening. I am the author of Ignite, Unleash Your Inner Fire. This is a book that helps us to step out, to step up, and to stand out. And another book I co-authored called She Leads. It is volume 4. I am also a certified trainer, a coach, and a speaker, and the founder of Blue Waters Coaching. This is the transformation hub that is dedicated to purpose-driven leadership development, abundance, mindset ignition, and wholeness. So it is because of this third pillar of wholeness and wellness that we are here this evening, because at the very core of leadership development is your wellness. You cannot talk about being a leader and yet we are not in charge of our wellness. We are not in charge of our wholeness. So that's why today we are having the wholeness agenda, the wellness agenda, and all this is to ignite possibilities for you to be a better version of yourself. So I am so excited to be your host this evening. I have amazing speakers before us. Thank you, Tapio. Good evening and welcome. Yes, so I'm so glad that you are here, and let's do this. So before I invite our guests this evening, allow me just to talk about what I've just said. Those who have been in the book club, those who have been at the Women of Excellence Forum, you know that we are all about leadership development. And leadership, those who have done Unleash the She Leader program know that leadership is not just about influence, but leadership is also about impact. And today we are having this conversation, not just for ourselves. We're having this conversation because we have people around us who we are influencing and also impacting. But how can we impact others if it doesn't start with yourself? So that's why we are having this conversation, because today we have to ignite courage to confront what we often hide. And what do we often hide? We often hide our pain. We often hide our struggles. We often hide our silent cries. We don't want anyone to know that side of us, the vulnerable side of us. And yet, every day, we're losing more people. These people are our sisters. These people are our brothers. These people are our friends. These people are our colleagues. And it's not because they are weak, but maybe they have been too strong for too long. Because friends, the truth is too many people are smiling, as you can see me smiling, on the outside, while silently they are breaking inside. And that truth, I have experienced it myself. I have a dad who is unwell with dementia, Alzheimer's, and the last time he spoke to me was many years ago. And that is enough to shake me from the inside, because I just wonder, I mean, how is life like that? You have a dad in quotes, but there's no connection. There's no conversation. Yet behind the coaching, behind the leadership development, behind the smile is a Loice who cries at night, not knowing what to do. Is a Loice who is pained by the illness of her dad, with her struggles to understand what kind of a demon is this called Alzheimer's, called dementia. And I'm not alone. You too have something that is behind the scenes. People will see you smiling on the outside, while the truth is you are breaking from the inside. That's why tonight we want to ignite and choose courage over silence. Let's talk about this. I've struggled myself even to celebrate my dad and just to put his photo out there. You know, there's some pain, some shame that comes with all that. It's a silent struggle. But why not ignite compassion over judgment? Why not look for ways where we can connect, where you share your story? Like today, someone is going to share their story. And as they share their story, we connect. We are no longer in isolation. Why should we continue hiding our pain, our struggles, and having just silent cries? Leadership is not just about influence, but also impact. So I invite all of us to step out, because we can no longer be silent. We can no longer deny that mental health issues are real and they are affecting people, starting with you and me. It is a call to step up, to be a bit compassionate, to step up with courage, to start having conversations about mental health. Is a step-up call that we lead with empathy. When is the last time you checked in on someone? You see them online, you see them everywhere, you think they are doing very well, but have you ever said, hello, how are you? What's happening behind the scene? The only time we can step up is when we start creating safe spaces, like this conversation this evening, that we shall be brilliant in our light and remind one another that, no, you are not alone. I also have something I'm dealing with. And when we have that conversation, then we start standing out as the voice of hope and the advocate for healing. So what is my call this evening? That we are going to invite love amongst ourselves, that we shall no longer fear, that we shall use that influence to normalize the conversations about wellness. So that is my Ignite framework. Remember, I said in my introduction that I am an author of the book Ignite, Unleash Your Inner Fire, Step Out, Step Up, Stand Out. And I've just shared how that Ignite framework will help us this evening in this conversation. I'm so happy that you are here. I'm so happy that you have invited your family and friends. So let's do this. I want to invite our phenomenal speakers, and we are going to start with the first one. Our first speaker is Faith Masambia. Actually, she's the main speaker with the content of how we are going to break this silence. Who is Faith? Faith is a licensed counseling psychologist who is passionate about promoting mental health awareness and resilience across diverse communities. She specializes in facilitating engaging and transformative mental health talks that empower individuals to understand, manage, and prioritize their physiological well-being. She's an experienced lady, spanning clinical settings. She has worked in the communities. She engages in corporate wellness programs, and Faith focuses on practical, evidence-based strategies that make mental health education not only accessible, but relatable. Her sessions often address topics such as stress management, emotional intelligence, addiction recovery, and breaking the stigma around mental illness. Driven by empathy and commitment to holistic care, Faith continues to inspire open conversations about mental health and create safe spaces for healing and growth. Before Faith comes on board, I want to run a poll that will help us. I hope I'll be able to launch it. It'll help us to do this. So can you see the questions? Somebody tell me that you can see the questions.
Yes, we can.
Yes, kindly fill in. I don't know whether you're able to fill. I'm not sure. Let me see whether it's possible. Ah, yes. Someone else. Yes, yes, yes. Good. Well done, well done. Let's just have a perception. It can guide our speaker just to see where and how we are doing. Kindly feed in the poll. The ones who are joining us, only 9 out of 31, 10 out of 31. Let's do this. This is how we break the silence. It's practical. It is practical. It is practical. Only 11 people so far, 12 people so far. That is 40%. Let's move on. 45%. Let's go on. 48%. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yes. Yes. Let's do this. 50%. 58%. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's understand where we are coming from. This will help the guest speaker. 19 out of 32 have responded. Let's have more. Let's have more. Let's have more. 4 questions. It's 4 questions, so kindly feed in. Kindly feed in. Okay. Yeah, Lois, I think it's 3 questions. The 4th one, there's nothing. It's 3 questions. Yes. 27. Oh, that's a good number. Let's keep on going. 79%. 66% on the second question. Let's have more people. 29 on the 100% on question 1. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to question 2. 68%. Can we make it 100%? Let's see. Let's see. Question 2. Question 2. Question 2. A few of you are not responding. Break the silence. Silence. It is not able to tell who has voted what. It's anonymous, so don't be afraid. I can't tell anything. I'm just seeing the figures, that's all. Question three. This is very important for us to understand what keeps us from talking about our mental and emotional struggles. I think this is good to know. And this is just a perception to understand where we are coming from. Only 17 people have answered question 3. Let's break the silence. It's practical, ladies and gentlemen. Break the silence. Only 56% question 3. I think we can do better. Question 2, 70%. That's good. Question 1, 100 so far. That's good. Generally, 30 of us out of 35 have participated. Let's do this. It's amazing. Maybe as we continue, let's look at question 1. What we hear of mental health, what comes first in our mind. And I'm a job really understand that mental health is about mental well-being. And a big majority also associate mental health with depression, and a few others with mental illness, others with silent struggle, and the list with stigma. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just speaking. You see, we are so afraid of judgment that we can't even participate in a poll, anonymous poll. Wow. Okay, that's amazing. That's good feedback. Even our speaker will be able to tell. Yes, have you gone through a difficult season where you looked fine on the outside but were acting inside? And a majority of us have said, 82% actually, of the 22 who have participated, we have said yes. And the next one is one or twice. Yes, we have felt that way. Yes, that's so true. No right or wrong answer. It's just what you think. What do you think keeps people from talking about their mental health? Only 18 have participated, 58%. But with the majority saying, and it's fear of judgment, and followed by not knowing how to express it. And some of us also feels about the religious or cultural stigma, lack of safe spaces, it's coming up high. And others feel, 5 of the 18 who have participated feel it's a personal issue. Why should I keep on talking about it? Wow. So we'll revisit that later. I'll just put it down. So Faith, welcome so much. You can see, I only saw one question. Lillian. And who else? Grace Ndungu says she can't get the poll. Okay, I don't know what happened. But that is it for now. Let's now invite our speaker. We already have seen the poll results. We have seen that it affects all of us. Most of us have said, yes, we've had those moments where we are smiling to the world, but deep within we are hurting. So, great. I think that's a good spot to start. So, welcome, Faith Matambia. Drums roll, drums roll. Let's welcome Faith into the house. Karibu sana, Faith. Let me stop sharing so that you can share.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Loice, Coach Loice. This is a great opportunity for me to share on work that I am extremely passionate about. I have been practicing as a licensed counselling psychologist for the past 10 years. And what I can say is in the past 10 years, the mental health space has really transformed. And I am so glad for opportunities like this to share and talk about mental health and the impact of mental health in our current situations and in the country. So apart from being a psychologist, I'm also a mom to a one very energetic little 4-year-old girl who keeps me on toes and constantly helps me begin to think very deeply about my mental health as a parent as well. So I'm really happy to be here and to engage with all of you. Um, I am such a lecturer, so I hope that I don't really go so much into more teaching than talking and engaging. So please make sure that you share whatever questions that you might have as we go ahead, and I'll be happy to come back and address all of them. So what I would want us to focus on today, I want us to just talk about the current state of mental health in the country, where we are at on issues to do with mental health and conversations around mental health. Then we're going to talk about the two major common mental health disorders, which is anxiety and depression. We're going to look at some of the key challenges that come into play and reasons why people don't really seek support for mental health treatment. We are also going to look at how can we take care of ourselves. We are going to look at the barriers that people encounter in terms of mental health, but also how do we take care of ourselves in terms of building healthy routines, self-care, and self-awareness. There is so much that can be discussed in this field. There's so much for us to talk about. I had a really hard time trying to narrow down to something that is going to be helpful for all of you. So I do hope that you do learn something from this conversation. So I'll start us off by just talking about the current state of mental health in Kenya. And we often talked about the COVID-19 pandemic, but currently we consider mental health a silent pandemic. What do we mean about that? What we mean about that is that currently mental health conditions, mental illnesses are the leading cause of disability around the world. We talk about disability because research has now shown that struggling with a mental illness will affect your ability to go to work, your ability to contribute to meaningful work, your ability to engage with people, your ability to even take care of yourself. So it is considered a leading cause of disability currently around the world. About 1 in 8 people globally live with a mental disorder. So I think I had Coach Loice saying that we're about 30 or 31, 32 or thereabout in our chat. So probably around 4 people in this chat box or more might be struggling with a mental disorder, a diagnosed mental disorder. Depression affects about 280 people worldwide. So try and compare that from the 7 billion people that are 7 billion and something that are currently in the world. Anxiety affects over 300 million people. So these are not the only mental health disorders or illnesses. There are many, but the two are the most prevalent right now, are what we are seeing the most in our clinics, in our hospitals, and we're going to talk about why that is. On top of it all, suicide still remains one of the major causes of death, leading causes of death worldwide. And the global statistics show us that one person is dying every 40 seconds by suicide globally. Remember that the language around suicide also matters. We don't talk about committing suicide anymore. We talk about death by suicide, just to be more humane and to acknowledge the fact that just like with any disease, for many of the time, for many a times, for mental health, for mental illnesses, the progression of the disease leads to death by suicide. When the disease is not managed, most people who struggle with mental illness will resort to dying by suicide. And we'll also talk a little bit about that and maybe ways that we can support people who are struggling with suicidal thoughts. So we talk about globally, but what's happening in Kenya? In Kenya, about 10 to 15 people are living with a common mental health disorder. Depression and anxiety are the leading causes of mental illness right now. Our adolescents, for children between the ages of 10 to 18 are the most vulnerable, with about 1 in 4 youth experiencing anxiety or depression, and over 40% reporting mental health struggles annually. We're seeing an increase in youth seeking for services around mental health treatment. Kenya records about 1,400 suicides per year, though that may be also underreported due to stigma and issues around cultural silence. A lot of people don't really talk about this. It's still a hush-hush conversation because there's a lot of stigma, a lot of shame, a lot of discrimination attached to it. There is a continual rise in mental health conditions due to stress. I mean, if we were to sit down here and talk about all the stresses that we are encountering right now, and you can go on in the chat box and think about all the stresses that you're dealing with right now. It's just not work stress, there's family stress, there's economic stress, stress related to health issues, and all that. There's stress everywhere we look at. And this is the major cause, the leading cause of depression and anxiety. There's issues to do with unemployment. The economy is very unstable right now. There's simply no jobs. A lot of the people that I'm seeing right now in the therapy room are youth who have gone to school and studied in wonderful careers. They are doctors, architects, statisticians, engineers. And, they've been home for such a long time, they can't find jobs. And it's very depressing. It's very distressing to them to be able to go to school for as long as you go to school for, put in the work, and there's no job. In most cases, the family is relying on you to go to school, get employed, and also support the family. So there's just a lot of stress around that. Our society is also changing. Kenya has gone from being very communalist kind of society to a more individualistic society. We are parenting and raising children on our own, not in a community like we did in the past. We are mostly centered around the urban areas. So we have to buy our food. We don't really have community around us to talk, to engage with. So a lot of struggles and stress due to social changes. Currently, we said that depression and anxiety are the most reported disorders nationally. And even with all this happening, there's still like limited access to care because there are few professionals. I think if you look at the country, we have just about, 150 to 170 psychiatrists for a population of how many in Kenya? Are we about 40 million? So that's very few. I think we have about 500 registered psychologists. So there are very few professionals who are able to deliver the kind of care that we need. We have very few professionals in rural areas. Most of our professionals are centered around our urban areas. So we have very few professionals in rural areas. We have very few mental health professions in county government hospitals, and that is also quite concerning. There's still a lot of issues around stigma, even though the mental health conversation is becoming more prevalent, and we're talking about mental health issues and disorders and illness and how to get help, how to get support, how to identify a family member, a colleague, a friend who's struggling. There's still a lot of stigma that surrounds mental illness. So we often treat mental health as invisible. We talk about mental health as being invisible, yet it affects our productivity, it affects family stability, and even physical health. WHO tells us that there is no health without mental health. We cannot, when you're talking about health, we cannot say you're mentally healthy if we are not, that you're all physically healthy. We cannot focus on you just being physically healthy. We also need to look at your mental health. So right now, there's a lot of research that is going into integrating mental health care into primary health care. So what that means is we want to get to a point that when you go to a doctor and you're doing your triage and the doctor is checking your blood pressure, they're checking your sugars, they're checking your weight and all that, they should also be able to check your mental health. They should be able to give a short questionnaire that addresses your mental health. How are you doing? Are there feelings of hopelessness, anxiety, and things like that? because we are realizing that even when we focus just on treatment for physical health, when you're not taking care of our patients' mental health, then it affects their prognosis, it affects their ability to thrive, even take their medications when they're supposed to, and get the kind of help that they need. Some of the key challenges that lead to issues in accessing good healthcare services are there's really low funding for mental health. And in our recent conference, we were talking about declaring mental health a pandemic so that there's more funds that are coming in to support mental health that can help to even build the workforce around mental health. Because when there's no funding, then it becomes very difficult to deliver services. It becomes very difficult for even us to engage in prevention and promotion activities that help us highlight issues to do with mental health and get people the kind of support and needs. It puts us in a position where we cannot, target where there's high stigma around mental health and low awareness. I mean, I can imagine there's a lot of people in here who are millennials. So you remember what it was like when HIV was a pandemic, all the resources and work that was poured into educating people about HIV. This is how you contract HIV. This is what happens. This is how you protect yourself. This is how you take your medications. And we've gotten to a place where people really understand HIV management, how to how people contract HIV, how to protect yourself. We've developed medications for post-exposure prophylaxis and things like that. So we want to be able to get to a place like that with mental wellness because it's needed. We are not doing well at all. We still have issues around referral and follow-up systems. I struggle a lot sometimes because patients will be going to doctors for a really long time and getting all kinds of tests. And before the doctor actually thinks about sending them to see a mental health practitioner, it's when they're really at the end. They're like, okay, maybe go talk to a psychologist, go talk to a psychiatrist, and they'll tell us what's happening. So we want to get to a place where we consider when a patient presents and they're having a headache, they're not able to sleep, that the first thing that comes to mind is how is this patient's mental health doing? When they're having stomach issues that cannot really be identified, we want to be able to get to a place where we are able to say, is this person struggling with anxiety? Can we send them for assessment and all that? There's still very limited child and adolescent mental health services. There's basically a handful of child psychiatrists and child psychologists in the country, which is really problematic because right now we are seeing a lot of issues around child and adolescent mental health. So we need to be able to have professionals to, address those challenges. Still, our counties have very few mental health specialists, which creates a situation where there's issues in early identification and follow-up. And, we're talking about depression and anxiety as the basic mental illnesses, the common mental disorders, but there are other mental disorders, more severe, okay? We don't talk much about schizophrenia, bipolar, and all that because they're very prevalent. You can see when a client is struggling with schizophrenia, if I come to you and I start telling you I'm an FBI or I'm the president of USA, immediately your mind is, I don't think this girl is doing very well. And you will get them the support that they need. And that's the time that a lot of our patients come to us when they're presenting with psychosis, when they're really at the final stages of mental illnesses, when they're at the extreme. That is when we are seeing it. So we want to be able to learn to identify when an individual is depressed or anxious, because if it goes untreated for so long, it can develop into psychosis and other severe mental illnesses. So early identification is important. Follow up to make sure that this client is attending their psychiatric clinics, they're taking their medications as prescribed if needed, or they're having follow-up with a counselor or a psychologist and are taking care of themselves as they should. So I've talked a lot about depression, and most people ask me, what is depression? Is it just being sad? But it's not really just being sad. It's being extremely sad. It's a very common and disabling mood disorder that affects our thoughts, emotions, and our daily functioning. And it's often triggered by life stressors, trauma, or chronic illness. It can occur whether it's in adults, youth, and sometimes even children when there's adverse childhood experiences. A lot of people ask me when I'm sad, when I'm persistently sad, does that mean I'm depressed? It could be. When you're sad, when you have loss of interest in activities that you used to engage in, you feel the need maybe to close yourself off, you don't want to talk to people, you want to isolate, you feel constantly tired, you go to bed and you get a full night of sleep, but you wake up in the morning still feeling very tired and you can't really explain it. You have poor concentration, tasks, everyday tasks that you're able to attend to very well at work. You find yourself struggling, to pay attention. There's issues with appetite, sleep change, either there's significant increase in appetite or poor appetite, you're unable to eat completely, extreme changes in sleep, you're sleeping too much or unable to sleep at all, intense feeling of guilt about everything, and also intense suicidal thoughts. So when a person constantly talks about having these issues, then they could be experiencing depression. And it's always important to make sure that we're referring them to seek help. There's help where we offer behavioral management. We help the individual, first of all, understand that depression is a medical condition and not a weakness, and talk to them about ways that they can address. We look at behavioral activation activities where we encourage healthy routines, daily routines, social interaction and physical activity. Also problem-solving therapy if they're feeling frustrated about a workplace stressor or things that are going on at home, teaching them coping mechanisms healthy coping mechanisms to handle stressors. We talk about engaging the family and peers in support. In our hospital, we work a lot with workplaces also to make sure that our clients are supported as they need to. And for patients who are having suicidal ideations or severe depressive symptoms, we will prescribe antidepressant therapy, medication, and also intensive psychotherapy. So they might be hospitalized to get intensive treatment. Anxiety disorders are occasioned by excessive fear or worry that interfere with daily life. And they will include things such as generalized anxiety, just feeling just generally anxious about everything, constantly worrying that something bad is going to happen, that they haven't done something, that just being in a space where their mind is constantly worrying. They're experiencing panic attacks. They have social anxiety. They don't want to be around people, intense phobias. And most of the time, anxiety disorders will occur in conjunction with depression. Some of the common symptoms will be feelings of restlessness, palpitations, sweating, feelings of tightness on the chest, fear of losing control, poor sleep. Most of the time, when I talk about mental illnesses, I always say, let's look at mental illness on a spectrum. On one end, we have extreme feelings, and on the other end, we have extremes, and the other end, we have extreme lows, extreme highs and extreme lows. So, for example, when you're talking about sadness, we all experience sadness. We all experience feelings of sadness when you've lost a friend, a relative, you've lost a job, there's been a significant change in life. You might experience a certain level of sadness. But when we're able, when for us to say that there's a mental illness or a mental disorder, we analyze at, where are you at to this sadness? Are you feeling so sad you cannot get out of bed, you cannot talk to people, you're not engaging with anyone, you're not eating, you're not sleeping, you just locked yourself up? Or are you on this other extreme where something big, something heavy has happened, but you're just going on with life as usual, nothing has happened, nothing has changed, you're happy, you're just moving on with your life? And that is also concerning. For us to rate an individual as being okay or normal, we want them to be right here in the middle, where yes, you can experience, you're able to identify that you're feeling sad, you're feeling overwhelmed, and be able to confront those feelings, okay, and just not totally abandoning whatever feelings that you have, or being so captivated by the feelings that you're unable to a point where it is disabling, right? And just as with depression, there are also behavioral management skills for managing anxiety. We often encourage our clients to practice deep breathing. So just taking some time when you're feeling overwhelmed, when there's that tightness in the chest, go somewhere where you can be alone and quiet and just do a few deep breathing exercises or progressive muscle relaxation. Sometimes when you go to bed, when you're feeling anxious and stressed, you will realize that you have your shoulders all up to your neck like this, and you've tightened your gums, and your tongue is all the way up on your upper jaw. So just going to bed and learning to pay attention to what you're feeling, just freeing your neck a little bit, freeing your hands a little bit, loosening your jaw, allowing your tongue to drop, just paying attention to what is going on in your body. Okay, just allowing yourself to be grounded, paying attention to what's going on. Take a few minutes maybe to remove your shoes, walk on the ground, allow yourself um, to feel calm, to feel grounded. Okay. In therapy, we also have skills such as exposure therapy, cognitive restructuring, where we help clients identify and challenge anxious thoughts. Lifestyle adjustments such as getting adequate rest, exercising, healthy eating, reduced caffeine, and things like that can also help in the managing of anxiety disorders. And for extreme cases, we also recommend intensive psychotherapy or medication. We can't really have a conversation about depression and anxiety without talking about suicide prevention. A lot of people, when they're struggling with intense feelings of depression and anxiety, will get to a place where they begin to feel like life is just not worth living, where there's excessive feelings of hopelessness. You look at your life, and it's just, you can't really see past whatever problem that you're having. You just feel like there's no hope. Life, you can't continue living. Life is not worth living. You feel the need to completely withdraw from friends, from activities that used to give you joy, or you just get to a place of what we refer to as just a sudden abandon. You're so calm, even after a severe distress, probably because you feel like, okay, I've made a choice. On this and this day, I'm done. I'm done with this life. I'm not dealing with anything at all. So a lot of people do not realize that suicide is preventable. When we allow ourselves to develop our awareness and have conversations, not hush conversations. Yeah, to say, hey, that day when I was struggling, hey, I was even having these thoughts about hurting myself, Can we talk about that? Is it possible for you to build supportive relationships that when you're struggling, you have somebody that you can reach out to? A lot of us do feel, and especially as women, sometimes because of the culture we are taught, don't talk about things, don't talk about your family issues, you don't talk about, the things that are stressing you, just be strong, handle it as you will, which is not really healthy. It's important to form supportive relationships. You might not be able to talk to everybody about what you're feeling, but you can go talk to a therapist, or you can identify somebody who feels like a safe space or a safe a safe person that you can talk to. Also important to develop skills for emotional regulation, that when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stuck, you can allow yourself to pay attention to your feelings without them overwhelming you. Um, you can take deep breathing exercises, you can talk to a friend, you can talk to a colleague. You can allow yourself a break if your work is too involving or heavy, allowing yourself a break to take care of yourself. Identify what are the triggers that are constantly causing you stress in your life, and identify healthy ways to manage them. How do we help someone who's at risk? Just talk to them directly. Last time you mentioned that you were having thoughts about hurting yourself. Are those thoughts still there? Have you gotten support? Who are you talking to? Have you seen a therapist? Yeah. Have you gone to see a doctor? Are you on medication? What's happening? Yeah. And allow yourself to listen non-judgmentally. Yeah. If you're telling somebody, you just need to pray enough. If you just pray, yeah, some of these things will not be coming to mind. Think about your children. What do you mean you're having thoughts about hurting yourself? Who's going to take care of your children? conversations about that trigger somebody more, yeah. But you can say, man, I do understand that, life is getting to a place where it's very heavy, that you're getting to a point where you're thinking about hurting yourself. How can I support you? Can I come with you for your therapy session? Yeah. Can I help you identify a counselor that you can talk to, a psychologist? I will even pay for your first session. Is it possible to keep a mental note that this person is struggling and check in on them regularly, help them to get the support that they need? It is possible for us to support the people around us by having open conversations about suicide, um, and also to challenge our thoughts and our ideologies around death by suicide. We have to remember that just like with any disease, um, mental illness will sometimes lead to suicidal ideations, and at the extreme cases will lead to death by suicide. So we have to be very open to having conversations and talking about issues that might push an individual over the edge. There are various barriers to seeking help. Stigma and shame is one of them. We need to challenge our thoughts and our conversations about mental illness. A lot of us still see mental illness as a sign of spiritual weakness or failure. We fear judgment, so we don't want to talk about the fact that we're struggling. And if we don't hide when we have malaria, if you don't hide when you're having stomach problems, or when you fall and break your leg, you'll walk around with your crutch with no problem. So if we don't hide when you have physical illnesses, then we also shouldn't hide when our minds are hurting. We should be more open to speaking about mental health. Yeah. We don't want to be dismissing people with phrases such as just be strong, just pray about it. Of course, spirituality does play a huge role in healing. But even with physical illnesses, we don't just tell somebody when they have a broken leg, I'll pray for you. We say you need to go see a doctor and get that leg properly aligned and taken care of. Yeah. But I will pray for your healing. Okay. You need to go see a doctor, but I'll also pray for our healing. So we need to talk about that. There's still lack of awareness around mental illness and mental health. Only 25% of people in Kenya who need mental health services actually receive them. So I'm tasking all of you who have had this conversation today to be mental health advocates, where you allow yourself to pay attention to people who are struggling around you and saying, hey, I know a place where I can go and get you support. Mental health literacy is especially low in rural areas. So when you're visiting your rural area and you're talking to people and you're realizing that an individual is struggling, look around and see what are the supports that you can engage them with for them to get help. Of course, there's other barriers such as cost and economic pressures. Therapy and medication for mental illness is unaffordable without insurance. And this is why we talk about funding for mental health, because this will help to also bring down, will help us to get subsidized medication for mental illnesses. Sometimes the people who really do need medication, I'm not really a big advocate for medication, but there's quite a number of people who cannot manage themselves and their symptoms without medication, and they need to be on medication in order to do well. So debt, unemployment, and financial stress can worsen feelings of anxiety and depression. Their services, I know Mathare Hospital has really improved their services around mental health care. There are other cheap places where you can get counseling. And I know there are a number of psychologists who are always open to offering pro bono services. So if you have an individual who's struggling, just reach out and we can always find support for you. Cultural and gender barriers that come in the way of seeking help. Men are less likely to seek help around mental health issues. We want to challenge the men around us to speak up. I don't know whether there are any men in our conversation today. We have 46 participants. Are there any men? If you're a man, just lift up your hand, shout a hello or something. Any men in our conversation today? All right. Okay, so we need to do engage and talk to the men in our societies about getting help around mental illness. So how can we prevent mental illness? How can we prevent? Is it possible to prevent mental illness? For me, I always start with developing healthy routines around sleep, diet, and exercise. And these are the basics. These are the basics. Are you getting good sleep? Are you eating well? Are you exercising? Yeah. A lot of us will say things like, oh, me, I function so well with 5 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep. But if you're functioning on 5 hours, 6 hours of sleep, then you're not giving your brain enough time to rest, enough time to rebuild and rework itself. So you're not getting quality sleep and you're going to struggle. A lot of the feelings of depression or anxiety are because you've not rested. Yeah, you've been working a tight schedule and you've gone for days and days on end when you're not resting. So aim for at least 7 hours to about 9 hours of sleep at night. Be consistent in your bedtime and your waking up time. Okay. The best time to go to bed is around 10 o'clock, and wake up time is around 6 in the morning. 5 or 6 in the morning. If you want to wake up at 5, go to bed earlier, go to bed at 9, so that you're getting adequate rest and you're giving your body enough time to rest and rebuild and recharge itself. It's important to maintain a consistent bedtime because our bodies really benefit from routine. So if our body, a lot of people who struggle with sleep is because today you're going to bed at 11, tomorrow you go to bed at 2 a.m., the next day you go to bed at 9. So your body gets very confused and it's not able to regulate itself. But if your body knows that we go to bed at 10 and wake up at 7, then it becomes so easy. You will realize that you will even wake up before your alarm clock, because with time your body adapts and it knows that this is the number of times that we need to sleep. So even on the days that you're struggling, even on the days where there's increased stressors, because your body has already gotten used to that routine, you will find that you're not struggling to sleep. When you are stressed, when you're overwhelmed at work, you'll realize when you go to bed, your mind is just captured by every little thing that's a mess. Okay, but when you learn to develop that consistent bedtime, your body, during periods of stress, during periods when you're feeling overwhelmed, you'll go to bed and you'll sleep on time and you'll be able to wake up on time. We can't talk enough about just avoiding screens, managing your screen time, especially just before bed, managing what you're eating just before bed. That does have an impact. Create a calming bedtime ritual. When you go to these high-end hotels, they'll have a turn-down service for you. They'll come and put the net, spray the mosquito stuff and just, switch off the light, dim the light so that it's not so bright when you walk in, just to help you prepare for bed. So do you yourself have a bedtime ritual? Yeah. Do you know that at this particular time we go to bed, we pray, we prepare to go to bed, we shower, we wash our face, we do a nighttime routine, and then we get into bed. When you get to bed, can you put like calming, rain sound or something that can help you just turn down, or write a journal about what your day was, a gratitude journal. You don't have to write about how angry you are with your boss. You can save down some time during the day to just, vent. But when you're going to bed, just think about what are the things that you're feeling thankful about? What are the things that you're feeling hopeful or happy about, to help you just begin to feel calmer? Eating regular balanced meals is also important. Don't skip meals. Um, if you're the kind of person who does not eat dinner, and keep it consistently that way, but make sure that you're getting enough calories. Of course, limit processed foods and limit your sugar intake. All that will have a direct impact on your brain or your mental health. Include foods that are rich in vitamins, omega-3s, B vitamins, and fiber, and all that. Keep hydrated throughout the day. Just the regular things in terms of taking care of your diet that are good for your physical well-being will also be good for your mental well-being. Exercise, engaging in at least 30 minutes of physical activity on most days. And the most important thing is to just maintain consistency. Yeah, you might not be able to go to the gym and reach and lift weights or do Zumba and all that, but you can do a bit of yoga, or you can do a bit of dancing in your house, or just a bit of stretching, some activity, some movement to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. When you're engaging in physical movement, it releases endorphins, reduces anxiety, and all these are good, just good for your mental health. A lot of the medication that will give you around mental illness will be medication that will help you trigger this endorphin, serotonin, and all this in your system, where you can achieve them naturally. And these are some of the ways that you achieve them naturally: going for a walk, exercising, eating healthy, getting good sleep. Other things that we need to talk about around managing mental illness is developing self-awareness, learning to understand yourself, your emotions, your triggers, behaviors, and responding with mindfulness instead of an impulse. Yeah. Are you able to tell the days that you're feeling sad, the days that you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling tired? Are you the kind of person who just gets home and yells at everybody, and you can't really say why you're yelling at everybody? You carry the stresses from home, from work to home, from home to work, without being able to really emotionally manage and emotionally regulate your your mood. So learning to understand your emotions, learning to understand the things that triggers you. You know in the morning that if you meet that colleague and they're wearing that perfume, it's going to piss you off. So learn to just be like, I'm gonna find a way to just avoid interacting with that colleague early in the morning, or just something to just do something so that I don't start my morning angry. And the best tools for self-awareness are journaling. Write about what you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. Yeah. Observe your thoughts without judgment. I'm feeling angry because of this and this. I'm feeling, discontent. I'm feeling a lot of feelings of shame and guilt because of this and this and this. Allowing yourself to, show up for yourself without judgment. Address the things that are uncomfortable for yourself. Constantly reflecting and asking yourself, what do I need right now? How do I need to take care of myself? How do I need to show up for myself? And also allowing ourselves to reflect on, with positivity, the things that are going on well. Sometimes we get stuck in situations where we look at our life and all we're seeing is all the bad things that are happening. Yeah. And the way our mind is aligned is, if you spend time focusing on the negative things that are happening, you will see hundreds and hundreds of negative things. And if you allow yourself to see positive things happening in your life, you'll be able to feel gratitude, because you'll realize that you're surrounded by a lot of good things in your life. So I'm not necessarily talking about blind positivity here, but you can allow your mind to be aligned towards the positive. So self-awareness is the foundation of self-care and emotional growth. When you're able to understand yourself, you're able to take care of yourself well, you're able to regulate your emotions well. Self-care, when you talk about self-care, a lot of us think about, you've gotten paid, I want to go to the salon and do my nails, do my hair and go for a massage and all that. But self-care is basically intentional actions to nurture our physical, mental, and emotional, spiritual health. What are those? And these are things that you can do every day. Yeah. It's the healthy sleep, it's the healthy eating, the exercise, the making sure that you're getting rest. It's setting boundaries, allowing yourself to go to therapy when you realize that you're struggling, allowing yourself to express your feelings rather than suppress them. Yeah. Allowing yourself to be surrounded by people who are positive, people who help you feel encouraged, enlightened, allowing yourself to spend time in prayer, in meditation, with time in nature. All these things are proven to, significantly improve your mental health. Other things that you can do to improve your mental health are reading, learning, disconnecting from social media, giving yourself a social media break, telling yourself, for this weekend, I'm not gonna, log on to Instagram, TikTok, or whatever to see what's going on. Take a break, take a mental break from social media. It helps. It's a very good way to take care of yourself. You need to also ask yourself every day, how am I feeling? What do I need today? What's the one kind of thing that I can do for myself? If I was asked to ask you today, and maybe you can write on the chat box, what is the one thing that you've done today just for yourself? Not going shopping for the family, not cooking for the family. What's the one thing that you've just done for yourself today that did not involve anyone else? Okay. Have you been able to spend time today and ask yourself, how am I feeling? How am I doing? What's going on with me? What do I need? Yeah. What do I need to do today? How do I need to take care of myself today? It's very important. Self-care is just not going to have the cup of coffee at Java. I mean, do that. If you're a mom and you feel like you need space to go sit down where there's quiet and nobody's climbing over you and you can have a meal in silence, then by all means do that. But most importantly, remember that self-care is those acts of self-care that you engage in every day that will contribute the most towards your mental well-being, and not just the maintenance, the things that you do at the end of the month. So some of the key takeaways, and I've been talking for so long, so I'm going to stop right here. Some of the key takeaways that you're taking from this conversation is that mental health is an ongoing journey, it's not a destination. And something that I have not talked about is that mental health can affect all of us. Yeah, all of us can struggle with mental health in one way or another. So it's important to constantly take care of yourself. Prevention will always start with awareness and connection. As individuals, in times of trouble, our number one resolution is always to want to disconnect and be away from people. But always remember that in connection is where we find healing. Small and consistent self-care habits will help to protect against emotional burnout and issue that will lead to depression and anxiety. So be consistent about taking care of yourself. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this has not been too much. Please share whatever questions that you might have on the chat box. I am based at Nairobi Mental Health Services. We are a level 4 facility, mental health facility. So we deal with mental health issues only. We do take insurance, so you can refer your friends, your colleagues, and you can always reach out to me. That's my phone number and email address. Thank you so much.
Wow. Let's celebrate Faith for a good job. Well done. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Faith. Let's celebrate her. Give her flowers. Give her love hearts. Wow. That's amazing. Let's break the silence. We can't go on with the silence. We must speak about these issues, get to know what are the symptoms. Maybe it's your husband who is suffering from depression and you don't know. Maybe it's your child who is having depressive thoughts. So it is time to speak up. It is time to break the silence. We are rising together. Thank you so much, Faith. That was super amazing. We've really learned a lot. Asanteni sana. Thank you for celebrating Faith. And any questions you can put in the chat. Any comments? I've seen a few comments. Yes, anything that you feel can help the community. We need one another. We cannot be in isolation. So thank you very much, Faith. You may stop sharing. I think they have taken the number. That is the number. Thank you for your comments. Now, Faith, you can enjoy reading those comments down there. Beautiful conversations. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not yet done yet. Today was an evening to uncover all that is usually swept under the carpet. And I would like now to invite our next speaker. I know time has really gone, so allow me just to introduce our next speaker shortly. Yes, our next speaker is a beautiful lady. This is not her first time speaking to us. Those who have been in the book club, we've had Hellen Masawa with us in different, I think she participated in 1 or 2 seasons of the I'm Leading book club. She has been with us. So Hellen, we are so glad that you are coming again to speak to us this evening. We celebrate you. Hellen is a loving mother of 3 wonderful boys. She is a wife, she is a sister, a daughter, an aunt, a businesswoman. And the reason why she is in this conversation this evening is because she is a certified counselor with over 4 years of experience supporting individuals and families through emotional and mental health challenges. I have had a conversation with Hellen in the Ignite Possibilities with Coach Loice. The show is on YouTube. If you just put on YouTube Ignite Possibilities and you put Hellen Masawa, you will be able to see that conversation I had with this amazing lady. Truly, she is a compassionate, resilient, calm, humble, friendly, and supportive woman. And these are the qualities that guide her, she tells me, in both her personal life and work. Let's welcome Hellen Masawa. Drums roll. We celebrate ladies who are breaking the silence. Karibu sana, my dear friend Hellen. Hellen.
Thank you, Coach Loice. Good evening.
Good evening. Want to see your beautiful face?
Am
There.
I visible?
Yes.
Let me
Am I
see my
audible?
video.
Am
I
I
see you.
visible?
Ah, yes, I can see you now. Yes.
Thank you, Coach Loice. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this platform. And I want to thank Faith for the insights, the valuable insights she has shared on mental health. And I think the story I want to share is a bit sensitive. And because September, we normally talk about suicide awareness. It's a suicide awareness month. It's a time to honor lives lost and to learn and to raise awareness about mental health. So I'm here as a mother who has faced an unimaginable loss of my 19-year-old son 6 years ago. And I want to share my story, not to bring sorrow, but to bring awareness, to bring understanding and hope. And my hope is that through this story, someone listening today will feel seen. I'm anxious. I'm anxious a bit because this is the first time I'm talking about this in such a forum. So my hope is that this story will bring hope, understanding, and encourage, just to encourage somebody out there to reach out for help or reach out to someone they love. It's not an easy topic to talk about because of the stigmas, you know, but I hope I'll find courage to share the story. As Loice has said, Coach Loice has said, I'm a certified counselor. I have passion for teenagers, especially, and couples, looking at the experiences I've gone through in life. I have a passion for teens and for couples, just to journey with them and help them navigate life with understanding and find emotional balance. I don't know, can I switch off my camera a bit? Coach Loice?
Yes, please, you can do that, Hellen. We have seen your face.
Thank you. I'm getting myself to calm down a bit. So I'll be talking as a counselor and as a mother who has gone through something I wouldn't wish on anyone. that is the loss of my 19-year-old son 6 years ago through suicide. And it's not an easy story to share, but I've learned that healing grows when we give our pain a purpose. And I share this story to bring awareness and to start conversations and hopefully to bring hope to someone who might be silently struggling. So just to give a short story about my son, who passed on 6 years ago. He was 19 years then. He was a very funny young man, curious. I would say he was the life of the party. Yeah, very outgoing, very, very friendly. Throughout his life, in school, he was in acting from kindergarten. Samuel was an actor all the way to A levels. So you can imagine what that kind of a person. And so I would describe that out of my 3 boys, he was the most outgoing, very jolly, very jovial, and he would speak his mind openly without fear, without, So being an outspoken person, I think that's why even in school from kindergarten to A level, Samuel was in acting throughout. And in acting, he was the main character in every drama that they would do at school. So, so 6 years ago, that was 2019, that time he had finished his A level, and he was just on his way to now choosing the career path. He had settled for law, but in between there, I don't know what happened. He was struggling to pick, yeah. So he faced some challenges, yeah. So through the struggles, through the challenges, is something that is, is beyond words. A lot of questions, yeah, and I wondered, what did we miss? So what really happened that day is that it was on Saturday, and he watched football with his dad. Actually, that day we did thorough cleaning of the house, especially our TV room, and we were just chatting and having conversations, because he's the most talkative out of my 3 sons, the most talkative, very jolly. So we were cleaning the house, doing thorough cleaning, moving things, and just chatting. And I think he already made a plan, a very good plan. And that night, I think there was a football match that he watched with the dad. Very normal. Everything was very normal. So he watched the match with the dad. The match was ending, I think, past midnight. So he watched the match. When goals are scored, they shout, they scream. Yeah. His brother was upstairs, he was downstairs with the dad. So very busy enjoying the match. So match ended. Me, I think I went to sleep. They were still watching their match. It was quite late in the night. So me, I went to sleep. And the match ended, and I think he had set everything. Even his password for his phone, for his laptop. He had written everything and left to us there. And that was Saturday night. And come Sunday morning, Samuel was normal. He took his own life in his bedroom. Sunday morning, we are preparing to go to church, and we are like, where's Samuel? Where's Samuel? And, so we found him in his room. He didn't lock the door. Normally, he locks the door when he's sleeping, but that night he didn't lock. So it was quite a shock. It was pain beyond words. The shock was, you can't imagine it. So a lot of questions, yeah. I wondered if there was something I could have done differently, what could have caused this. And through that pain, I think I've learned or I've come to understand that suicide doesn't mean the person didn't love us. Yeah. It only means that most of the time it means that they were carrying some kind of pain that felt too heavy to keep living with. Yeah. So in my counseling field, I think I've come across several cases of clients who are suicidal. Mostly they're young people who are struggling silently because they would come and share, and they don't want you to tell anyone else, which is not possible because of confidentiality. You can't keep it confidential when somebody is suicidal. So they struggle silently with depression, anxiety, maybe family pressure, heartbreaks, yeah, and maybe constant comparison with which comes from social media. So it is on the increase, and maybe it would be good, yeah, just to listen to them, because some of them just want to be heard or to be seen, yeah, and to feel that someone genuinely cares about them, because most of the time we judge one another or we misunderstand, yeah. So I've had young clients who are quite suicidal. So it breaks my heart because I've gone through it, but no one should suffer in silence. So suicide is no longer something far away from us. It touches most of us, our relatives, our churches, our homes, our schools, and I'm happy that we are talking about it. So we can't afford to look away anymore from talking about such topics. And someone may wonder, were there warning signs, Did you recognize any warning signs, things that were happening, So I think one of the most important things I've learned as a mother and as a counselor is that there are always warning signs. They may not be obvious, but they are there. For my case, for my son, I think he put up a face, somebody who is, because he was always there for others, even for his friends, I remember a friend at school lost her mom, and he was really there for this schoolmate of his, so much that, call, let me know if you need support. That's what Samuel would do. To a point that when we lost Samuel, this friend was like, wow, I've lost two most important people in my life. That was my mom and now Samuel, because Samuel was always there for people, ready to support, ready to. So it's kind of, he was wearing a mask, but deep down, he was struggling with something. But on the face, you see somebody who is jolly, who is happy, who is outgoing. Yeah, it's the life of the party. Those who met him, I believe you can agree that he was the life of the party. Yeah, so the signs are there. Maybe withdrawing from friends, from family. Some may lose interest in things they once enjoyed doing. I don't remember seeing Samuel losing interest in, things that he enjoyed doing. He loved music. He was such a great singer, by the way. He didn't withdraw from friends. He carried on with friends. But I have a feeling that deep deep down, he had a feeling of hopelessness, which maybe when I look back, I feel there was some hopelessness. Some people would give away things they treasure, their belongings, yeah. So those are just some of the signs or red flags that we should pay attention, yeah. And sometimes you notice someone who's been very down suddenly appear fine. All of a sudden they are cheerful, yeah. So somebody who has been down, all of a sudden they feel fine, they're cheerful, yeah. So those are some signs that, you know, you can watch out for, yeah. So it takes courage to ask someone if they are okay. But if it's one of those, you know, simple way to save a life, yeah, you can check. You've been quiet of lately, yeah. Do you want to talk? People who talk and all of a sudden they don't want to talk. So you just check with them, yeah, and just show them that you are there to listen without judging. It can make a difference. So signs are there. For my case, it was very difficult to pick sign because I would say that he had put on a mask to show outside that he's strong, is okay, but deep down, he's struggling. Looking at the stigmas that Faith talked about, stigmas around mental health and suicide, yeah, especially in our African society, we still struggle to openly talk about mental health. Too often when someone is going through emotional pain, we tell them to be strong, pray harder, or, you know, you will get over it. So we associate mental health or mental illness with weakness or spiritual attack or a curse, you know, it's bad omen, yeah. Now, because of that, many people hide what they are going through. They're afraid of being judged or being labeled, yeah, or of bringing shame to their families, yeah. Yeah, some families even try to keep suicide a secret because they fear what people will say. Yeah, I came across a case where a child tried to take her life by overdosing on some medication. And when she was taken to hospital, the dad was like, you know, wanting to hide, to keep it a family secret. The dad was like, no, you don't need to take, was telling the mother, we don't need to take her to hospital. What will people say? What will, you know, it will be known. Yeah. So you want to keep it a secret. It is a shame. Yeah. So as a mother who has lived this pain, I've also experienced some stigmas firsthand during that period when I lost my son. You get to hear people talk, people question, yeah, what kind of parents are these? And I think my case was, I think it was worse because my son left a note. He left a note accusing mom and dad. We are the reason for him doing what he did. I think that was a very hard hit. It was the hardest hit. It was very hard to take. And I've been like, how do I live with this? He left a note, and that note, interestingly, he shared with his former school friends in their WhatsApp group just before he took his life. He shared that note with them in the group because I think he had typed it and it was ready. So just posting it and then he was gone. So people, especially close people, family, friends, you know, talking around it, you know, questioning what kind of parents, because I remember after his passing on, the whole event was done. I've never seen any of those parents, these former classmates. You see now this note went around to the students. It was very traumatizing for them. They shared with their parents. So people questioning, what kind of parents are these? Yeah. Maybe we have failed as parents. We should have seen it coming. So some of those words eventually reach our ears, unfortunately. Yeah. But what people don't realize is that as a grieving family, we are already judging ourselves and blaming ourselves more than anyone else could. So imagine you're already I'm blaming myself. The whole family, we are blaming ourselves and judging ourselves. What could we have done? Why didn't we see this coming? And then now you wake up again, you hear people around also judging you. Yeah. Those outside voices are only deepening the wound. So I'm not sharing to accuse anyone. Of course, people talked, but to remind us all that when tragedy strikes, what a family needs most is compassion and not judging, not criticizing. Because words spoken carelessly can crush a heart that is already broken. So instead of asking what went wrong, because I had a lot of that, what went wrong? You didn't see this coming. So instead of asking what really went wrong, especially in the heat of the moment when it has just happened, I think the best we can tell somebody is, how can we support you, So silence and stigma only isolate those who are already hurting, but talking about suicide does not cause it, it prevents it, as our first speaker had said. And while faith and prayer are powerful, we must remember that God also works through people, through doctors, through psychologists, through counselors, through, friends who are willing to listen without judging. And as our first speaker said, just the way we seek treatment for our sick bodies, we should also seek help when our minds or hearts are in pain. And just build a culture that says that it's okay not to be okay, because that's where healing begins. Now, what families go through, especially through suicide loss, when you lose someone to suicide, the pain is indescribable. There's a lot of confusion, guilt, a lot of anger, and very deep sadness. Yeah. People always don't know what to say, and sometimes the silence around you becomes even heavier. Yeah. But I've learned that with love and support and therapy, it's possible to find a way to live again. Not forgetting, but learning to carry the memory with peace instead of pain. Because for the past 6 years, I don't think I've, talked about it this much. But with the time, I think the pain, we don't forget what happened, but we learn to carry the memory with peace instead of pain. Because if I was still carrying the pain, I don't think I would have been able to talk the way I'm talking right now. So my healing began when I allowed myself to speak, to cry, and to accept support from others who care. It's not been an easy journey, but it's a conversation that is important to have. And maybe just to parents, just to encourage parents to talk to their children. Don't wait, for them to come to you. Create a safe space where they can express themselves without fear of being judged. And I think when it comes to the family, like me and my family, I think what we have struggled most, especially me and my husband, was blaming. You blame, oh, you are harsh with him, oh, you are like this. So blaming was there for for a while. And if one does not seek help, the relationship can really get worse and worse. Reaching out for help, going for therapy, for me, that has really helped us, because I remember mentioning to a friend that the blame game can really destroy a family. If you don't reach out for help, seek therapy, it can be very bad. Yeah. You throw words, you blame one another, oh, you did this or you did this. So I think therapy is key, and just reaching out to friends who care, who are there to listen without judging. It really helped in my case. So to parents, I would just encourage parents to create a safe space where for their children, where they can express themselves and without judging. Yeah, just to listen and don't judge. If they need help, seek out help. Take them for therapy. Yeah, and to our young people, I'll just encourage our young people that seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's one of the bravest things they can do to themselves. And for our community, as I speak here, I think we are a community. We should open up conversations in our churches, in our schools, in our homes, and we should stop whispering about suicide and start learning how to prevent it. I think we were taken through suicide prevention, awareness, and connection to save lives. So we should stop whispering about it and start learning how to prevent it. So in short, losing my son, it changed me in a way, but it also gave me a mission to speak, to educate, and to work with others through their pain. I remember there's a period of time I reached out to some 4 mothers who lost their sons and daughters through suicide. We had a session, we shared, we talked, just to know, because it's a different kind of death, very different, yeah. So I found it very difficult to reach out to any mother who has lost a child, maybe through sickness or any other means, but I reached out to mothers who lost their children through suicide, just to help me understand that whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm going through is normal. Looking at what has happened, it's normal to feel what I'm feeling. The blame, yeah, the note that was left, yeah. So I reached out, and they were quite supportive. And by that time, some of them, they had lost their children earlier than me. And actually they felt, hey, Hellen, you look more stronger than us. Because there's a mother who told me that I think 2 years later then, me, I think I was just a few months after the loss. She was like, you're talking about it with so much courage, because me, I'm not even 2 years down the line. I've never walked into my daughter's bedroom. Yeah. I've never gone there. I've never gone in there. But I was telling her, I go to my son's room every other day. Yeah. So she was like, wow. So with the time, she got courage to go into her daughter's room. So it's a journey, it's a process. With the time, she managed to go to the room and just get in touch and see the things that were left and all that. So the group was quite supportive. It really helped us, the 4 of us, yeah. So I'm using my story to remind people that even in our darkest seasons, something beautiful can still grow. Even if one person listening today decides to reach out to check on a loved one or to speak up about their own pain, then my son's life continues to make a difference. We may not be able to prevent every loss, but we can build a kinder and more compassionate world, one conversation at a time. So, Coach Loice, I want to thank you for organizing this talk and for creating a safe space for us to have such meaningful conversations. So thank you very much, and God bless. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Hellen. Wow, that was a touching story. Thank you. Let us celebrate Hellen for coming out of the shell, for deciding to break the silence. We can't keep quiet. We must speak out. Thank you so much. Love hearts to Hellen. Love hearts to Hellen. Let us celebrate. And this is what we are talking about. When we say we are breaking the silence, it is real. It is having honest conversations about the issues that are usually swept under the carpet. Thank you so much, Hellen. I remember when I asked you, I just showed you September was Suicide Awareness Month. And you were asking me, who is speaking or who is talking about it? I told you, I am creating the space myself, that we are no longer going to wait for others, that are going to start that conversation ourselves. And thank you so much. I really feel honored for you to accept to share your story now for the first time to the public, because this conversation will be on our YouTube channel. You can always come back and see it there. Thank you so much. Celebrate Hellen in the, she'll be able to see all that in the back. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can see it's almost 9 and we are done. We are done. So allow me just to bring the last conversation to wind up that topic. For those who joined us a bit late, we started this evening with a beautiful conversation about breaking the silence, and we've had two speakers to help us unpack that meaningful conversation on mental health. We've learned a lot. My goodness, I don't know what's happening. We've learned a lot, and we have also listened to the testimonial from Hellen. And you can see, you might meet Hellen on the streets and she's okay. But without having that conversation, you may never know what is behind the scenes. So this is a call for us, as we had said, about the 3 C's. One is the courage to speak. The next is the compassion. And the other C is about the connection. That let's be our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, our child's keeper. I think that one is very, very important, arising from this conversation. We said we must step out, we must step out, and we must stand out. And that is the IGNITE framework we have used this evening, that we step out of silence and denial. We can no longer be silent, that we step up with empathy, with courage, and with compassion. Check on that sister, check on that brother, check on that child. We don't know what's behind the scenes. Be that light, ignite, be that light that reminds another that they are not alone. Then that is the only way that we can stand out as the voices of hope. And that's what Hellen has told us. Let us, our story is not there to drown us in sorrow, but as an awakening that we may be that advocate for healing. So let's lead in love. I love the way you brought the aspect of love, because where there is love, There's no fear. And that is love, Hellen, that you are able to share with us a personal story to the public. What have we learned? That we can ignite possibilities. We can be the torch bearer. That from today we are going to shatter and break the stigma around mental health. We cannot be silent anymore. That from today, at your own space, that you are going to open up those safe spaces for honest conversations. That from today, as faith talks to us, we are able to learn how to recognize the signs. From today, as Hellen has told us, you can extend compassion to the others. That you can be the light for someone in darkness. 3 C's: courage, compassion, and connection. And because of that, I have an offer. We have a November offer because we believe in connection, we believe in compassion, we believe in courage. What Faith has talked to us today was about self-care. What we have incorporated in the I Am Leading Book Club is self-care. And in the month of November, I have an offer for you to give you 30 days of transformation. In there, you'll find community because you need connection. You can't do this alone. You need someone else supporting you that it is possible, as Faith told us, to do exercise, 30 minutes. That's what we do in there. We read books that empower us, books that help us to change our perspectives and our mindsets so that we have a different perception. What we say in the Leading Book Club is we ignite possibilities, one book at a time. I invite you to season 21, the month of November, for 30 days of pure transformation. You may use that QR code to join the group, and then we'll have extra conversations there. That was just something for those who want, because remember, we are breaking the silence. I can't be silent about the book club, yet I know it can help you as a woman leader. So go ahead, join us if you are able, because we'll be reading a book that will just be emphasizing more about mental health in the month of November. What an evening. What an evening, ladies. Thank you so much for gracing this evening with your presence, with your love and affection, for celebrating our speakers this evening. I am so excited and so honored to have hosted you. Thank you so much for listening to Hellen, to Faith. This conversation will be in our YouTube channel. Kindly reach out and look for it. You'll be able to see it. With those few remarks, thank you so much and have a good night. Thank you. God bless you. Allow us now, the ones who have not read the comments, you can read the comments as we come to the end of this conversation. Thank you and God bless you. And thank you for inviting your family and friends. That has been super, super amazing. Thank you.